Hey guys, how's it going? It's Travis Mortz again with the ForesthillFilmLab. I wanted to say I'm sorry that I haven't been posting a lot of videos lately. As you guys might know, I don't really own a digital camera, so I have to borrow one from a friend, and sometimes it leads to me not being able to do videos for quite some time because he's busy or I'm busy. So I'm back. I've recently broke my ankle, so I'm trying to use the time off my bike wisely, and I'm trying to make some more videos for you guys because this is something I can do with a broken ankle. So this is a video that people have been asking me about quite a lot, so I've decided that the first video I'm going to make once I get the camera again was going to be about the Frankenstax. This is my homemade Instax wide camera. My it's my pride and joy, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about it in a second. So this is the number one thing that was requested, but I'm also planning on doing some more videos. Maybe another video about photo books. People seem to like that quite a bit, and then I'm thinking of maybe another how-to video for maybe some sort of photographic technique. So if you guys have any requests, that'd be awesome. But anyways, back to what's important. Let's talk a little bit about the Frankenstax. Alright, so as a lot of you guys may know, I'm doing a project this year, the 366 project, where I've decided to shoot an instant photo every single day of the year. The beginning of the year, I shot nothing but pack film. I had my Graflex SLR that I converted to shoot pack film, and I was going to shoot that all year. As you guys know, Fuji pack film was discontinued and the prices skyrocketed, so I was forced to start shooting Fuji Instax wide. And immediately after starting to shoot an automatic camera, I wanted something more. I cannot stand trusting the camera to do all of my exposure for me. Not to mention the focusing issues. There's no Fuji Instax wide camera on the market that has accurate focus distances. There's no way to get a consistently sharp photo with these garbage cameras. So it didn't take long before I decided that I wanted something better. I wanted something that I could control exposure with, as well as focus, because there's no sense in having a nicely exposed photo if it's going to be soft, which they all are soft. Every Fuji Instax wide camera is just almost sharp. It's not ever really sharp. It's almost sharp. So me and my friend Dylan decided to start working on our own Fuji Instax wide cameras, and this was the idea that we came up with, was to attach a Lomo Instax wide back to a pre-existing Polaroid camera. This is actually the second version of this camera that we made. The first one was made on a plastic body. It was a little bit more primitive. The lens wasn't quite as capable, so I improved the idea, and this is what we've got. The ultimate camera to shoot Instax wide with. I have full control over my exposure, as well as my focusing. I could focus this camera through the built-in rangefinder, and my focusing is accurate. I added this nifty little meter on the top so I can meter. And then, as you guys might know, the Fuji Instax wide is 800 ISO. So one of the biggest problems with Fuji Instax wide cameras are that none of them can actually achieve a perfect daylight exposure. The Lomo Instax wide stops at 1/200th of a second, f/22. That's like 2 stops, or a stop and a half, or 2 stops overexposed for basic daylight exposure. So that's the biggest improvement that this camera has over any camera on the market, is that I can shoot up to 400th of a second at f/32, which is basic daylight exposure. It's actually 1 stop under, so you can even stop down further than basic daylight exposure, therefore making any daytime exposure capable with this camera and the film. Another huge advantage that this camera has over any Instax on the market is the fact that this lens opens up to f3.8. Most of these cameras we're shooting with are either f8 or f14 or even f22. So indoor photography with this film is not possible without flash. That's where the Frankenstax comes in. The Frankenstax could shoot slow exposures with a big aperture and a locked-in focus. It doesn't have to rely on f8 to get sharp images. What else can I tell you guys about this? As you can see, I also added a nifty cable release here so I can shoot the camera at will. Let's see what else. I'm going to give you guys a closer look at this camera, and I'm also going to show you some sample images from it because, of course, the camera doesn't mean much if it doesn't make good images. And so let me give you guys a closer look at this camera now that I've told you why I decided to build it. Basically because there's no Instax wide camera on the whole entire market that allows for pinpoint focusing as well as manual controlled exposure. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the Frankenstax. So this is the Frankenstax. As you can see, it's just a normal Polaroid camera. I've added this Iconic meter. It's additional. And this is a 135 millimeter Schneider Press Xenar f3.8 lens. So this lens is capable of 1/400th of a second up to f32 and all the way down to f3.8. As you can see, I've attached the Lomo Instax wide Bel Air back to the back of the camera, and I attached the lens to the back of the front lens board section. I'm going to close this back down because it's a little easier to maneuver that way. This cable release is custom. Managed to epoxy it in the side there. On the back, I've got a daylight exposure guide. I've got all the settings memorized, but I thought this would be cool because some old cameras have these old guides on the back, so I thought it was pretty neat. I attached my own custom strap, as you can see here. This is the cold shoe from Argus C3, and you can see I had to tape the edges up because there was some residual light leaking, but I couldn't really find it, so I just taped up all the edges just in case. This is the Polaroid 250's original Zeiss Icon made in West Germany finder. And I wish I have a sheet of film in here, otherwise I'd open the back for you guys. But you'd see that the film plane's actually about here. And because of that, you need a longer focal length lens to make up for the recessed film plane. And that's why this lens manages to work, and that's why I was able to calibrate the rangefinder. So when I focus, I actually can focus accurately up to about 15 or 20 feet. Once I need to focus at infinity, I've figured out that the camera needs to be collapsed just to this bend here, and that is actually infinity focus. And everything else I count on the rangefinder for, as you see here. So it's pretty nice. If it's infinity, I just close it down a bit, and it's always perfect. So I don't have to really rely too much on my aperture for sharpness. I can rely mostly on my rangefinder for portraiture and anything, you know, closer than 15 or 20 feet. But yeah, that's the Frankenstax. Full manual control, full control of focus, as well as framing with my viewfinder. And the timing is actually much better than any Instax wide, because as soon as I release the shutter, my photo's taken. There's no lag time waiting for a computer. Much like the Lomo Instant Wide, this is also capable of firing a flash because my lens has a PC port. And because I'm ejecting the photo manually, it's also fully capable of dual exposures, or triple, or 4, or however many I want. So, you know, the alternative to this camera is a $250 Lomo Instant Wide, but this camera is far more capable than any other Instax Wide on the market, and I made it myself, so I'm pretty proud of it. So there you guys go. That is the ultimate Instax wide camera, the Frankenstax. So now you guys have got to take a closer look at this camera, and you can see all the minor details that I put into it to make it really work. And it took me about a week to build this camera, and once it was finally complete, I shot about 15 or 20 frames through it, and I decided, that's it. I'm selling my Lomo Instant Wide, and I'm bringing this with me to Europe. So I basically built this camera in a week, and the next week I took it with me on a 2-week trip to Europe, and I trusted it to do what it was supposed to do, and it delivered through and through. All the way, the entire trip, I got nothing but sharp photos, so many good exposures, and it was because it was my fault. I not only built the camera, but I got the focus right, and I got the settings right. So, the thing that sucks about the Instax wide automatic cameras is that the results are so inconsistent that nobody could ever really trust their camera. So people don't shoot it often, I feel like, because when you only get 3 or 4 good frames out of 10, it's pretty discouraging to keep buying and buying and buying this film. That's what I realized with the Lomo Instant Wide. The photos, the results were so bad because the camera just wasn't doing its job correctly that I was discouraged using it. I hated using the camera. I felt better taking bad images with something that I was building myself and making it better, So basically I want to show you guys a couple sample images. I'm probably going to focus on some of my trips from Europe because that was really when I got to learn this camera through and through. I shot about 80 frames while I was over there, and those 80 frames were within the first 100 that I ever shot with this camera. So I really got to learn the camera so you guys can see some of the results and really see how capable that the Frankenstax really is, and see how good this Instax wide film is, because the results from this Instax wide film are absolutely stellar. The film is so very good, but we wouldn't know that because the cameras made for it are so bad. So here, take a look at some of these images, and I'll see you guys in a second. Now that you guys have seen some sample images, you could really start to understand why I'm so excited about this camera. I never really thought that I'd be able to put something together myself that would make such, sharp, beautiful images. But now that I have, I'm kind of addicted. So I actually have built a third Frankenstax that a friend of mine's borrowing and testing out for me right now. And a lot of people have asked me if I was going to make a how-to video on how to build them, or if I'm going to build them and sell them. I'm not really sure about any of that. I didn't really want to make a how-to video because it took me days upon days of working to get it to where it's at, so making a video would just add to the difficulty. But, for anyone out there who is going to try to make one, feel free to ask me questions. I'll be as much help as I can, and I encourage you guys, because the more people that buy this film, the better. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, keep on shooting.